Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, welcome to another market open stream. Today, let's talk about the markets that Bitcoin is following. And this is a good thing because it's a giant buy signal. Let's talk about it, and let's talk about everything else that's going on in the world today. All right, let's do it. Welcome, guys. We're starting out the day a little bit lower, about 67,000. But overall, we're still heading in the right direction. The U.S. market today is a little bit weaker. In the red, minus 100 for NASDAQ, minus 170 for Dow. Yesterday, MicroStrategy turned to green at the end of the day. NVIDIA turned way in the green. So let's see if that can happen. Today, Coinbase, MicroStrategy, NVIDIA, all in the red right now. But like yesterday, it can change. Let's see. What's affecting markets today? Well, 10-year Treasury yield is rising. And that usually happens when there's fear in the market. When there's fear in the market, people tend to flock to bonds. Why is there fear in markets? Well, I mean, generally speaking, it's always about the same things, right? Economy slowing down, prices going higher, inflation, etc., etc. That seems to still be the case. Here's a headline: why inflation may look like it's easing, but still a huge problem. I mean, it is. Right? Even though we've been getting a lot of inflation readings showing that inflation is going down. Okay, this is just measuring like inflation, like the current inflation rate that's like kind of moving forward. But that doesn't mean price of goods and services haven't gone up tremendously. They have. So according to this, many things have surged. For example, eggs since 2021 is up 87%. Auto insurance is up 47%. And there's many other things too. And credit card delinquencies now are up. There are a lot of major things that, that are still expensive and causing people not be able to afford things, right? Things are definitely slowing down. So even though we do have these inflation readings and it does show that things are coming back, in line with how they were before, but not really, because things have just gotten more expensive. And they will continue to get more expensive because inflation will never cease to exist. It will always be a thing. That's what people don't understand. Inflation will keep on going and going and going and going. It will never, ever, ever stop. And I guess a lot of other people have this worry is that, hey, prior, a long, long time ago, 80 years ago, in the US, we had something similar where we had very elevated inflation and then we came back down like it was all good. And all of a sudden, we had problems. And inflation went really, really, really back up again. And right now, that's what it looks like. We had very high inflation, right? Because of all the money printing and everything. And then now, we're starting to come back down, right? But a lot of people are worried that over the next few years, we may get that spike back up. And that would be horrific. That's not what we want to see. And there's very little that the Fed can do other than cut the Fed fund rate. But what if he cuts to zero and inflation is still going higher? Then what is Powell going to do? There's not much he could do then. So hopefully we're not repeating the same pattern that we saw in the 70s and 80s when inflation came down and then boom, it spiked back up. That would be horrific. That would be horrific. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But again, this is why we have Bitcoin This is the exact reason why Bitcoin was created, because we don't have to just hope that our government or governments, where you may not be in the US, we don't just have to hope that it doesn't happen. We don't have to just hope that our Fed will figure it out. We could just opt out. We could just buy Bitcoin. This is the exact reason why Bitcoin was created, so that we don't have to depend on the fiat. We don't have to depend on the Fed figuring it out, because they won't, because it's just built out of house of cards and they'll never figure it out, which is why the deficit keeps on going up, why inflation will always be a thing. And that's why Bitcoin was created in 2008 after the last giant recession. And 13 years ago, you could have bought Bitcoin for $2.50. That's right. And The Economist published that the Bitcoin bubble has burst. This was back in 2011. Hey, this was during October 21st, 2011. Man, that seemed like it was just yesterday. 13 years ago sounds like it's so long ago. 2011 to me just seems like, I'm just getting old now. I guess, I don't know if you guys relate. 2011 sounds to me like it was like yesterday. Man, that was like Fast and Furious 5. That wasn't that long ago. Anyways, Bitcoin was at $2.50. That's crazy. That's the power of holding. Yeah. Again, this is how we opt out, by buying Bitcoin. Okay? This is how we opt out. We don't have to worry when we hold an asset that has a limited supply, that is set by code, that is not controlled by any sovereign state or any entity, completely decentralized, and is pure. That's why we continue to HODL and continue to DCA, because it doesn't have any of the bad that fiat or anything else has. 13 years really isn't that long. Imagine 13 years from now, in 2036, what Bitcoin will be then. It'll probably be like, I don't know, $5 million in 13 years. I mean, we keep, talking about year to year or 4 years. In 13 years, that's 3 more cycles. Think about how high Bitcoin goes every single cycle. Imagine 3 more cycles from now. That's kind of crazy to think about. Anyways, BlackRock now understands this. Even BlackRock, the largest asset manager on the planet, understands this. So even yesterday, when it was a pretty, I wouldn't say bad day. Yesterday was a down day. Yesterday was a correction day. BlackRock and its investors did not care. Threw $329 million into IBIT. Other funds had outflows. IBIT had a massive inflow. So that makes 7 consecutive days of 200 plus million inflow. And now, in case you guys are wondering, IBIT is now coming close to 2% of the supply. Within 9 months, they are closing in at 2% of the supply of all Bitcoin in existence. That is staggering. They have 386,000 Bitcoin. Binance, I think it's the second largest holder, around 600,000. They are on track to surpass Binance sometime next year. And they will probably surpass Satoshi, holding 1 million Bitcoin, probably the year after that. Okay. BlackRock and others understand that Bitcoin is what you want to hold long term. Despite the short-term price volatility, it does not matter. Institutions and Larry Fink and BlackRock and others They now understand Bitcoin is what you want to hold because there is a set supply. There's only so many, and it can't be artificially inflated like fiat or any other precious metals or commodity or investments out there. It's just different. It's built different. That's crazy. And I'm not saying this is a good thing. No one wants BlackRock to hold 2% of supply. And eventually it might hold up to 5%, 6%, 10% supply. No one wants that. We all know BlackRock is up to no good. No one wants that. But my point is, they understand. And my second point is, you want to buy some for yourself before they get to that point. Because one day when BlackRock holds 10% of supply, trust me, that day, Bitcoin will be well above $1 million. Okay? So you want to grab as much as you can before that day comes. It's not too late. It's not too late. And this is the beginning. This is the beginning of the end, meaning the reserves on all the exchanges is starting to go down, beginning of the end. This is the only cycle, the first cycle, and the only cycle so far where the reserves have been dropping while we're entering a bull market. Every other cycle, we've been seeing Bitcoin reserves go up, not down. This is the first one ever. And guess why? Because of those ETFs, they've been buying by tens of billions of dollars. And that is why reserves are going down. And it's not going to change. It's not like all of a sudden next year or the year after that, you go see the reserve go up. No, there's just no more. After they're removed from circulation, it just keep on going down. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. And that's why it's different from fiat currency. Because there's a set supply. And there's only so many being created per day. And how much is being eaten up is way more than what's being produced per day. Okay? So that means something. That means a whole lot. And I think it's going to change the game. And it may throw us into a super cycle after this year. After 2025, we may just go into a super cycle and the game changes for Bitcoin forever. I mean that. It could be changed forever because of this and because of the ETFs and the institutions. All right. So this Friday, we also do have a big options expirations. Before I would look at the max pain price, because sometimes we see like the traders somehow get the price to the max pain price where both the long side and short side lose. That's at 64,000. I have a hard time seeing Bitcoin go back down to 64,000. It could happen, but that notion has been dispelled many times, so I don't really think that's going to happen. But whatever we do see options expiration, which is the last Friday of every month, which is this Friday, there could be something. Could be volatility. Could explain why this week so far has been a little bit weaker rather than breaking through $70,000. Still, not out of reach because according to liquidation walls, there's just not much holding us back. Really. There's really no reason why we can't just flip upwards really, really quickly. But that could explain why we're getting the sudden weakness versus last week when we were just shooting upwards. All right, what else is there? Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is in some hot waters right now. And a lot of Bitcoiners, a lot of Bitcoin maxis are really angry at this interview that he just did. He called a lot of Bitcoin maxis, what did he say? He called them anarchists. So basically, once upon a time, and a lot of Bitcoin maxis, have this underlying, thesis that, hey, self-custody is the way to go, right? You don't trust anyone. You don't trust institutions. You don't trust anyone. You always want to self-custody. And for the most part, that's true, right? Of course, there's consequences to that. That means you have to You have to safeguard your recovery phrase, your private key, because that's very important. But ultimately, that means you control your crypto. No one can take it away from you. No one can steal it from you, right? No one can confiscate it. But Saylor is now going a different direction, saying that you don't have to self-custody. You can trust governments and institutions. You can trust custodians. You can trust big banks to act like custodians. And those that don't are actually going to cause governments to confiscate. It's kind of weird. He kind of went like a 180. He did an exact 180. And a lot of people are head scratching, and they're wondering if it's because MicroStrategy themselves use Coinbase as a custodian, or if MicroStrategy is planning on becoming a custodian itself. That's why he's changing his tune. It's a little weird. It's a little weird because once upon a time, he told people, right, in this one, if they come after you, you just tell them to F themselves and say you lost your ledger in a boating accident, right? Like they can never take that away from you. That's what he said years ago. And now he's like, you know what? Don't worry about being confiscated. Just hand over your Bitcoin to the custodians. Kind of 180. This is a little bit different now. So I don't know. He's in some hot waters for that interview. You guys can watch it yourself. I'm not going to play it, but you guys decide what he really means by that. All right, what else is there? All right, as for some charts and short-term movement, Bitcoin 65 to 67K, which is right where we are. Should be the third higher low, coinciding with the retest of the upper resistance support line, which is great. And that means we're about to blast off. Okay. What does that mean? Blast off. Well, this is what I had in the thumbnail. So, you know, this giant cup and handle pattern, it applies to basically a lot of markets, including gold, which has broken out recently. Okay, S&P 500, which has broken out recently, and Bitcoin, which has not broken out recently yet, but we have the same pattern. Obviously, the years for all these markets are different. Gold, you know, spans for like a decade. S&P is a little bit shorter. Bitcoin's even shorter than that. But ultimately, what this is signaling is Bitcoin's big rise, big pump is coming, and we just have to wait for it. We know it's coming. October is still not over, and 2025 isn't even here yet. 2025 is the most bullish year, but I do think we will still end this year fantastically, right? So if this isn't a buy signal, I don't know what is. So this is looking pretty darn good. And, of course, we have other buy signals like this. There are always just a lot of buy signals. A lot of buy signals, a lot of repeats of what happened. This is one, like a major crossover that happened. That happened in the previous cycle, in the 2020 cycle, right before a major climb. And also that happened in October. Like everything happens October. Just like the McRib indicator happens in October. The elections indicator happens in October. Everything happens in October. And we're in October. It's not over yet. So it's got to wait. Wait it out. And of course, here's another one showing where we can head to this cycle and next cycle. Remember I talked about 13 years, how 13 years ago Bitcoin was only $2.50. Imagine where Bitcoin will be 13 years from now. This is just projecting Bitcoin next year and 4 years after that, which is projecting Bitcoin be at $780,000, which seems like insane at our current level. But if Bitcoin does hit 260,000 by next year, the 780 doesn't seem so insane then. But that's only 5 years. What about another 7 years after 2028? How high will Bitcoin be then? Probably well above $1 million, right? So it's kind of crazy to think about. We always think Bitcoin short term, like week to week, month to month, even year to year. You know, on a grand scheme of things, I know it's long, but it's short term. But if you're looking at, hey, 5 years, 10 years, man, if you're looking at it that way, Bitcoin hasn't been around that long. But if you go back 10 years, man, Bitcoin was like nothing. And then you projected 10 years in the future what it can be, and it's just staggering to think about. All right. Outside of that, what else is there? Yesterday I talked about this. Stripe spends like $1.1 billion to buy a stablecoin bridge, and Bernstein says this is very, very good. It validates the usage of stablecoins. Yeah, I think so. Obviously, when we have like over $100 billion worth of stablecoins, nearing 200 billion stablecoins, I would say that's a pretty serious market. So yeah. Thor Chain begins rollout of swap provider on Ledger Live. Those of you guys that have Ledger, you use Ledger Live Swap. Now it integrates Thor Chain, so that means there's more options. That's good. And Avalanche releases a Visa card for cryptocurrency payments. Kind of out of nowhere. I don't know why Avalanche needs to come out with a Visa card, but they did. They did. All right, that's it. U.S. market. NASDAQ is recovering a little bit. Robinhood green. Coinbase, okay, okay. Bitcoin down a little bit. Overall, not much movement today. Let's do Q&A. All right, let me scroll up here. Okay. Not much. Seems like a lot of controversy over McRibs. Some people love them, some people hate them. I never understood the appeal with McRibs. But it does seem like a lot of people like them. I like the way the market's moving right now. NASDAQ is going to flip green, it looks like. That means a lot of these are going to start flipping green, which is good. Which means Bitcoin Like right now, I think the biggest explanation, like yesterday I was looking at liquidation walls, right? But I totally forgot about options. Options week always brings volatility. So that actually makes a lot of sense. But let's bring up the liquidation walls, because I also do think a lot of this was intended to just liquidate the longs and the shorts. So yesterday, all the longs got wrecked. Now there's not a whole lot of long walls, but there are some. 66.3, 66.4, right? Now there's a big wall up here on the short side, 68.2. So now if we go to the upside, we got to smash through that wall. Yesterday, that wall didn't even exist. Like, it was gone. We could have smashed through the upside really easily. But that's unfortunate. So now we had to break through that wall before getting into the 69s again. Pork is an abomination. McRib is an even worse abomination. I don't think a McRib is made out of pork, or is it rib meat? I'm pretty sure McRib is. I don't know what kind of meat McRib is made out of. I'm sure it's not made out of rib meat. That's for sure. What's with gray lace lately, Demetrius? Are you saying gray scale? They're still kind of dumping. Kind of inflow and dumping at the same time. GBDC, you could see there's still some dumping, some in. I mean, they're overall net neutral, I guess, recently, but they still dumped a whole lot. It's made of rat meat and peanut. After I said what I said about peanut butter, I think it turned a lot of people off. Burger King is 100 times better than McDonald's. McRib is made out of bottom of the barrel chemical paste. You know what? I used to think Burger King was 100 times better than McDonald's. I no longer think that's the case. The last few times I had Burger King, it wasn't so good. Burger King once in upon a time was really good, but now it's like, I don't know, man. Whoppers don't taste that good anymore. A lot of stuff at Burger King doesn't taste very good anymore. So I don't know if that's true. I think the crispy chicken sandwiches from McDonald's are actually decent. I think they taste pretty good. But I agree. Quarter pounders, Big Macs, they do not taste good. Nuggets are so-so, but the new chicken sandwiches are decent from McDonald's. I never liked the McRib. I don't know why people get excited about McRibs. Wendy's have gotten so much better than Burger King and McDonald's by a mile now. Everything at Wendy's is great, and the chili is. I mean, the chili is like not great what compared to like normal chili standard, but at least they have it. Baked potatoes, good. You know, like different variety, and their burgers just taste so much better. Actually, taste like real meat, and their chicken sandwiches are good. I mean, Wendy's just by far better. Listen, TMV. Yeah, Ledger's still good. If you don't want to use their recovery system, don't. I had a big argument with them before, but you have to really opt in for them to do that. So people are still kind of afraid about them having a backdoor, but they really don't have that backdoor unless you opt in and give them access, which if you don't, then they don't have access. But yes, I still use my ledger. Arby's is good, but they just don't have burgers. They have all their roast beef and everything. They have gotten cheap on the meat. It's not as plentiful as before, but Arby's have different variety of stuff. Arby's is owned by Wendy's, so it makes kind of sense. I don't like Wendy's breakfast. They put too much of that white sauce, whatever that is. It's not like a mayo. It's like a weird sauce. The wedges are good from Wendy's. I'll say that. But I don't like, I mean, their sandwiches are okay. I just don't like that white sauce they use. No, it's not mayo. Trust me, it's not. It's like, it's a sweet sauce they made. Jonathan, stop it. I don't know why for breakfast sandwiches, I still think McDonald's sausage, egg, and cheese is the best. I don't know. There's something about McDonald's sausage patty. It's just like the right amount of saltiness. I don't know. I think that's still like the best breakfast sandwich from a fast food place. Sui to $20 possible? Probably not. $20, 10x? I guess it's possible. It's possible, but remember it pumped up a lot recently, so it's going to take some time to cool off a little bit. Is it possible? Sure. I think McDonald's serves breakfast until 10:30. And just FYI, just because I'm saying all this, I hardly eat breakfast or McDonald's breakfast or Burger King or any of these places. My kids eat it a lot, but I don't. Let's see. Is ETH dead? No, actually ETH has been doing well recently. ETH like 2,700. It's coming back. But Sol has been coming back. I'm still excited about Sol. I still think Sol is going to be one of the big movers of this cycle. Man, this chat turned into a breakfast discussion. Will Bitcoin pull back to 50K before a huge pump? No. I don't believe so. Sonic has the best selection. I don't think I've ever had Sonic before. Maybe once in my life, like maybe 20 years ago, and I don't remember it. That's not one place I ever look forward to going. YouTube watchers sold the Ethereum of this cycle regarding price action. You know what? I would say so. There's probably others that will probably do even better than Sol in terms of price action. But in terms of like the top 10, I think it'll probably do the best. But there'll probably be others outside the top 10 that'll be doing better than even Sol. But I think if you just look at the metrics, like volume, transactions, anything, even NFT volume, NFT marketplace, everything on Sol have exceeded Ethereum. So it just makes sense that Sol can overtake Ethereum this cycle. Joseph, when will we hit peak MicroStrategy? That's not gonna come until Bitcoin peaks. MicroStrategy is like stock. Ooh, Nvidia turned green again. Man, the market is strong. Nvidia turning green. Coinbase go turn green. Hood is turning green. MicroStrategies go turn green. Even though the thing is, people don't realize, even though MicroStrategy broke through their March high, they did not break through their .com bubble high. That is insane. I don't think people realize how high they were back in the day. That sounded wrong, but look at that. Look at the .com bubble high for MicroStrategy. They were at 332. They still got a ways to go, but by the end of this cycle, they could probably hit that. They could probably hit that and break through that. With Bitcoin breaking out, and in 2025, I think MicroStrategy could break through that. I mean, they just have to go up another 100. They have to go up, what, 50, 60%, 70% to do that? They probably could. At MCT, a lot of finance channels are becoming bearish and saying government is suspicious. ChatGPT says if they're right, BTC will go up exponentially due to lack of faith. Agree or disagree? I agree. I think a lot more people are becoming suspicious of the government, and that is making them turn to Bitcoin, which is great. But on the other hand, if we do fall into a deep recession, if the economy collapses and markets crash, that is going to pull Bitcoin down. I'm well aware of that. But if it's just like overall suspicions and people just like hating on the government and hating on what the Fed is doing and inflation and stuff, that's going to turn Bitcoin into a good thing. Hey, Bitcoin just started pumping for... Hey, that's good. Starting to go up. Like I said, the market can be turning upwards, and it looks like it's starting to. IRS now, okay, ooh. New federal income tax brackets. Let's look at this. The standard deduction will increase to $30,000 for married couples filing together and $15,000. Okay. The top rate of 37% applies to individual taxable income above $626,000 and married couple filing earning $751,000. Is that an increase or decrease? I don't know. Did that go up or down? 35% is for people making over $250,000, 32% over $197,000. 24% over 100,000 over six figures, 22% for over 50,000. Is that up or down from 2024? I don't know. Crusty Delinquent, what are your thoughts on the argument that 2% inflation rate is good for the economy because it encourages people to spend more and save less? I guess. I don't know. Crusty Delinquent. I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Short term, that makes sense. But long term, it just makes people work more. And And that's basically it. I guess you're right. I guess you're right on that. I guess you're right on that. Tempted to sell my MSTR for MSTU. I think that's the 2x MicroStrategy. It could work out. It could work out. Seeing how MicroStrategy is going up so much. %37%. I guess that's not bad compared to some of the other countries in Europe. There's some countries in Europe that tax you like 70% or something, or 75% if you make above a certain amount or something like that. It's like crazy. I don't know how people could live in countries like that. Warden says Sweden's 50%. Yeah. Sol at 168 again. Looking good. It was at 171 recently, so I could break through that. Jupiter almost crossing $1 again. SUI is coming down big time. Remember I told you guys, recently when it climbed up, I told you guys I think it's going to come down. It needs to rest. A lot of the whales that made a lot of money is probably going to take some profits. So they've been coming down a lot from their top. But that doesn't mean they're not going to come back. Memes are still doing quite poorly. Right now, ETH is just really weak. ETH is nowhere close to their March high. They hit 4,000 in March. They are nowhere close to that. Like Bitcoin is only 5% away. ETH is still ETH is still 35% away from high. Yeah, ETH just lost all momentum. UK, it's 40% over 45K threshold. That's, man. UK's taxes suck. Yeah, ETH is looking bad. I'll say that. Let's see. Let's add MSTU. I don't even know if this can find MSTU. It doesn't even have MSTU. You know, when you play with leverage, this is a 2x long MicroStrategy. I know it seems like this is a no-brainer. It's just like doing like a 2x on Bitcoin right now too. It seems like it's a no-brainer because MicroStrategy is so hot. But, you know, you'll go through periods, MicroStrategy cools off, and this will hurt because you're going down 2x as fast. But right now, it does seem like it makes a whole lot of sense. Ever since it came out, it's just been going up and up and up. Trust me, I played with these 2x, 3x ETFs before back in the day. And they work. When they don't, they hurt a lot. But right now, it does kind of make sense. Johnny says, I'm in the UK. I'm leaving pretty much purely on the basis of capital gains tax to a tax-free country. Spain, Portugal, Greece, Cyprus. Those are tax-free countries? Spain sounds pretty good. Portugal sounds good too. So does Greece. Those are tax-free countries? Cars says, my parents and friends don't believe me when I say I'll make it big with crypto, but all of them don't support me and say you will lose it. That's how it always is. No one ever believes because they just don't want to believe, because it's not something they have done, right? And they're just stubborn. Doesn't matter. You do you do it right. And then, you know, later on, you show them that you did it. That's it. That's it. Trust me. I've been through it. I've been through it. You know, when I was growing up, YouTube didn't even exist. When I was growing up, I did not grow up saying, hey, I was going to start a YouTube channel and talk about crypto. Crypto also didn't exist. And growing up, and even now, I'm a big introvert. I don't like to talk to people. I don't like to be in front of a camera. And look at me now. So when I decided to do this full time in 2017, trust me, my family was not receptive of this idea. And many, many years, I thought it was a big mistake until it wasn't. And same thing. I put all my money into Bitcoin and crypto over the years. And no one thought that was a good idea. No one thought that was smart until it was. That's just how it is. You just have to prove to people that don't believe that they're wrong and you're right. And that's it. You don't have to try to convince them. You just do it for yourself. Don't do it to convince others. Do it for yourself. How deep do you think Sui will drop? I mean, Sui could drop very far, if I'm being honest, because it went up very, very fast. I mean, it could drop all the way back down here. It could drop to like 70 cents. You probably don't want to hear that, but it could, because I mean, in September it was still down to 75 cents. It's probably not going to drop that far, if I'm being honest, but um, but it could. Look at it. It went up this much before to 217, and it dropped all the way down to 45 cents before it started pumping. So it has seen crazy pumps and dumps before, but if the market picks up, it probably won't. It'll consolidate some point and go up. But if it follows previous pattern, it could definitely go back down here. It probably won't though. If I'm projecting a next level, 180, like right here, probably be a level. After that, probably like right here, right here. There's a lot of levels it has to break. But probably the next big level will be about 180. VI Jokers. BTC will make some moves during the US election. It always does. Every single time. Jose says, how would you make the Wild Robot movie sadder? I cried. I know how to make the movie sadder, and it will end perfectly. I don't know how many people plan on seeing it by now. Probably no one will see it, but it would have ended perfectly when they were falling. You know, the robot ripped out its guts, put the duck in its body, and it fell down, right? It should have ended where the robot fell down and died, and the robot broke, saved the duck, and that's how it ended. It should not have been where, oh, the robot is still alive afterwards. It doesn't even make any sense because it ripped out its own guts already to put the duck in. So it should have ended that she sacrificed herself, ripped out the guts, put the duck in, crashed, and she died to save the duck. And that was the end of the story. Like, she sacrificed herself for the duck. That's how it should have ended. If it was a PG-13 movie, that's how it would have ended. But because of the PG movie, they didn't want all the kids to like cry at the end. They made it so that the robot was still alive. But it would have been perfect if the robot just died upon impact and then the duck was saved. That would have been a perfect ending to that movie. But we'll never see that. Yeah, we're talking about the Wild Robot movie. It's a really good kids movie for those of you guys want to watch a movie with little kids. Wild Robot. It starts out kind of silly, but ends pretty good. But it could have ended. It could have ended much sadder, and I think it could have ended better if they had that ending instead of the other one. But it's still good. I started watching this stupid movie called Terrifier, and it's just so stupid. I don't even know if I'm gonna finish it. I started watching Fast and Furious with the kids because Fast and Furious is just not like the original ones are not like the ones now where they're like saving the world and they're like special, you know, they're special agents doing, you know, trying to save the world. So watching the original Fast and Furious is actually quite entertaining. I do agree. WALL-E is probably the best cartoon animation movie to date, in my opinion. It's just so realistic. And they could have made WALL-E sadder too, but they didn't. But man, when WALL-E was getting crushed, I was like broken when that was happening. And then and then he didn't remember Ava at the end. Man, that put a tear in my eye. And like I was really crushed by that part. But then of course they made it okay, but they should not have. They should have ended it where like WALL-E just didn't remember anything. That would have like just like made it a real tearjerker. All right, off track again. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens tonight. I guess we've been rambling too much. I've been rambling too much about nonsense recently. But it's good fun. It's good fun. Stay strong, guys. I'll see you guys tonight. 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll see where Bitcoin goes. We got a little action today. Just a little bit. We got some buy signals going on. A little volatility due to options expiration. and the usual stuff. All right, I'll see you guys tonight. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.